ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिन्निति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषशून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। नमो महावदन्याय कृष्णप्रेमप्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्णचैतन्यनामने गौरतुसे नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा। So we welcome everyone for today's discussion on Srimad Bhagavad Gita. So we are discussing from Srimad Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2nd and verse number 18, 19 we discussed. And we started discussion on verse number 20. न जायते म्रियते वा कदाचिन् नायं भूत्वा भविता वा न भूया अजो नित्य शाश्वतो अयं पुराणो न हन्यते हन्यमाने शरीरे. For the soul there is neither birth nor death at any time. He has not come into being, does not come into being, and will not come into being. He is unborn, eternal, ever existing, and primeval. He is not slain when the body is slain. न जायते म्रियते वा कदाचिन. Any time, in the past, present, or future, there was never the time when the soul took birth. That is the meaning. And now immediately, because the soul has not taken birth, so there is no question of death. Anything which has uh, creation, it also has got destruction. Just like this entire material world, it has got certain point of time when it was created. That's why it has got its expiry date, and it is going to get destroyed. And then, if this entire material creation is created, so it has the date of destruction. So naturally, whatever is there within this material world, anything material, that also has got date of creation, date of destruction. So this body also, which is made up of material matter, so this body also has got date of birth, and so there is date of death, time of death, time of birth, and time of death. But for the soul, there is no time or date of creation, date of birth. That's why for the soul, there is no date of death. The soul never dies. Namriyate va kadachin. Nayam bhutva bhavita va na bhuya. There was never the time when it was not a being. A being means individuality. That the soul is a person is very important concept. The soul is not impersonal, nirakar, nirakar. The soul is not nirakar. Soul has got form. So to have form means it is a being, just like we say human being, animal being, plants and trees being. Being means which is being means which has become, which has assumed, which has the form or existence, or in other simple words, we can say anything which has individuality, that is actually being. So the soul was always a being. As in at present, the soul is a being, and in future also it remains always a being. So in this way, Lord Krishna is refuting the false philosophy, false ideology that the soul has no form or soul is nirakar, impersonal. No. Na ayam bhutva bhavitava na bhuya. And ajo nitya shashvato ayam purano. Ajo means again ajanma. The same thing. Na jayate mirate va kadachin. The soul never takes birth, and and the soul is unborn. These two things appear to be same, but there is very little slight difference between these two things. Otherwise, why Krishna is speaking the same thing again? In the same verse, Krishna is saying, "Na jayate," soul never takes birth. uh, and then Krishna says, "Aja." Aja means unborn. That means soul cannot be given birth. Soul cannot be created. So all those living entities, unlimited. The number of living entities are unlimited. Nobody can count it. Uh, So there is no further creation of the soul. All the souls which are there, they are eternal. So this concept may be little difficult, or maybe difficult to understand, because we are living in a world where we practical with our senses, these material senses, including mind and intelligence, we only have the experience that everything gets generated and everything is destroyed. So, to be able to understand this fact that soul was never created and soul will never die, it is very difficult to understand. One cannot conceive of it. This is beyond our conception. It's not, it's inconceivable, achintya. Isliye, in the Shastras, that's why it is said that it is achintya, achintya, achintya khalu ye bhava. That is Vedic injunction. Achintya khalu ye bhava. Means everything pertaining to spiritual realm, spiritual life, that is achintya at material level. But this is not achintya or inconceivable for spiritually advanced soul. Those who come to the spiritual platform, for them it becomes conceivable. But till the time we are materially affected, we are in bodily consciousness of life. Uh, till that time, these spiritual things, spiritual realities, they remain inconceivable to us. It's very difficult to understand because we are within the frame of time right now. So that's why everything, whatever happens in this world, that is controlled by time. But the soul and the existence of soul and super soul, that is beyond the jurisdiction of time. It's beyond time. Time has no control over soul and super soul, and that is what is also one of the characteristics of soul, that it is kutistha or achalo ayam sanatana kutistha. We discussed about this word kutistha in the purport comes. Kutistha means it is yeah, this is there. Sometimes the soul is called the steady or kutistha. Kutistha means it is unaffected by time. With the flow of time, or with the power of time, everything is destroyed in this material world. Everything means everything. The entire creation is destroyed because of the power of time. Time. Kalosmi lokakshaya krita pravriddha. Krishna says, I am the time I am. Krishna says, time I am, the destroyer of everything, including great demigods, Lord Brahma himself, and all the planets, all the material elements also. Earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, ego, everything is dissolved at the time of complete annihilation. So the time I am, Krishna, in the form of time, destroys everything. But time has no control over soul, super soul, and spiritual realities. It is completely unaffected by time. So before the time started, let's see, if we are to talk about something which is beyond time, so we are using the word before the time started. So as soon as you use the word before the time started, that means that itself indicates some point of time. So it's not very easy even to explain this concept, but we can try our best to understand as far as possible. So even before the time starts, the soul exists and the super soul also exists. Eko Narayana Asit, that is also in one of the Vedic injunctions. It is mentioned. Eko Narayana Asit. Na Brahma Narudra na Sankaro. Eko. 4:24:63 Srimad Bhagavatam 4:24:63 Eko Narayana Asit. That's there. Eko Narayana. Narayana Parvavyaktat. I was existing in the beginning. Aham eva asam eva gre. This is also mentioned in the Bhagavatam. That aham evasam eva gre. I was existing in the beginning before the creation. Before the creation, Lord Narayana existed. And in the Vedas, it is also said, Eko Narayana Asit. Before the creation, there was only Narayana. So, na Rudro, na Sankara, Eko Narayana Asit. That is Vedic injection. So, before the creation, when nothing was there, no space, no planets, not even time. Time manifests. The activities of time are manifest. Time is actually eternal, but its activities are manifested as soon as the creation happens. Before that, there is no activity or there is no influence or impact of time. Okay, anyway, so this is sufficient. So, Kutistha, the soul is unaffected by time. So before also, and even within the creation, just like we are a spirit soul, we have this material body. So this material body is affected by a time factor. It undergoes six kinds of changes. The material body takes birth, it grows, and it maintains for some time. Then it dwindles, and finally it is destroyed, death. So this is what happens with any material object, material body. But the soul, in all these six changes, the soul remains as it is. So we discuss this. In the Katha Upanishad, we also find a similar passage which reads the same which Krishna is speaking in this Gita Upanishad, Bhagavad Gita. Krishna saying, "Na jayate mriyate va kadachi nayam bhutva bhavita vana bhuya ajo nitya shashvato ayam purano na hannate hanyamane sharire." The similar passage is there in Katha Upanishad. "Na jayate mriyate va vipashin नायं कुतश्चिन्न बभूव कश्चित् अजो नित्यः शाश्वतोऽयं पुराणो न हन्यते हन्यमाने शरीरे." The last two lines are same, and above two lines are some words are little different, but the meaning is the same. The meaning and the purport of this verse is same as in the Bhagavad Gita, but here in this verse there is one special word vipashya, which means learned or with knowledge. So one who is learned, vipashya means one who is learned or who is knowledgeable. Yeah, for him, there is no death, there is no birth. He is Ajo Nitya Shashvatayam Purano. The soul is full of knowledge or full always with consciousness. That is the characteristics or symptom of the soul. Therefore, consciousness is the symptom of the soul. This consciousness cannot be the symptom of material elements. Even if one does not find the soul within the heart where he is situated, one can still understand the presence of the soul simply by the presence of consciousness. So this we already discussed in the previous verse, previous verse, that uh, even if one is unable to see or verify the existence of soul within heart, because that's not very easy thing. Nobody, not just it, it is practically impossible, because on one hand, the size of soul is so very minute. It's very difficult to measure it. Point. You take the point, and what is the dimension of the point according to modern science? That if the measurement of point they have given, that the measurement of point is that its length and breadth is infinitesimal. It tends towards zero. Just imagine, it tends towards zero. That means practically it has no length and breadth, but it is not zero, but it is tending towards zero. Those who are mathematics or science students, they know what does this mean. Tends towards zero. That means it's almost zero, but it's not zero. It's very difficult to measure, and so that is the measurement of the point. Now take that point and make its 10,000 parts. So one part among this is the measurement of the soul. So now just imagine how how can somebody measure the soul size of the soul, and that soul is present within the heart, and that very very small minutest soul, which is even minute, even smaller than an atom. The smallest atom is hydrogen atom. So even smaller than the hydrogen atom, that that smallest soul is living within the heart and operating the entire body. Just imagine. So powerful. The spiritual element is so powerful. Huh. So on one hand, because the size of the soul is so minute, it is not practically possible. We cannot have any kind of such mechanical instruments by which to see or measure or even verify the presence of the soul. And on the other hand, the nature of the soul is spiritual. So it's already beyond sense perceptions, beyond sense perceptions. Because of these two reasons, it's impossible that through mechanical means one can realize the soul. Sometimes they say that scientists they did some experiment, and when the dead body, when a person who left his body, they packed him within a box of glass box, and as soon as he died, there was this the soul left the body and it broke the glass. This is all not acceptable. The soul can leave the body. The soul can cross the glass without breaking it. The soul is so powerful. Soul is so minute. Even sound vibration, the sound, which is an element, ether, earth, water, fire, air. Air cannot pass from a closed box, closed room. It requires some, at least some holes to pass. But this ether element, the fifth element is sky or ether, akash. So it is so subtle that it can pass even from this closed box also. It's like you close the room and you speak, some sound vibration will go outside the wall. And then even more subtler than this ether element, sky element is mind. The mind can also cross. Mind can also cross the closed box. And then subtler than the mind is intelligence, and more subtler is the soul. Soul is even subtler, more minute than this mind and intelligence. So there is no question of when soul leaves the body, the soul will break the glass. It is not acceptable according to Vedic injunction. That cannot happen. So anyway, but the size of the soul is very minute, and on the other hand, the soul is spiritual, being spiritual in nature with mechanical senses, material senses, and mechanical arrangement. One cannot perceive it. So, but one can understand the presence of the soul by simply by the presence of the consciousness. Everyone knows that in our body there is consciousness all over the body. Consciousness means living symptoms are there. As soon as I pinch or touch my body at any part, I immediately realize that yes, that we get the indication. We can feel. So this sensation of feeling, or sense thinking, feeling, and willing. This, although this is reflected through mind, function of mind, but it is mind itself is not the generator of these feelings. The feelings are actually caused through consciousness, and it gets manifested in the mind. And just like when a woman she gives birth to a child, so we can say the woman has given birth to a child, but actually woman has not given birth to the child. She has only become the medium. The man has given birth to the child, it is said, because without man there is no question of the seed of life. The soul is transferred from man within the womb of a woman, and then woman carries, and the child bears the child and develops, the body is developed, then she gives birth. But actually, who has given birth? The man has given birth. Similarly, the soul, which is present within the region of heart, it gives the consciousness, and through consciousness everything else is manifested. All the feelings, all the impressions, all the desires, all the willingness to act, and all the functioning of intelligence and all the functioning of entire body, all these hormonal changes and everything, whatever the scientists they explain, that this feeling of love and emotions and all these things, these are generated through hormones. Okay, these are not generated through hormones. Hormones become the medium to manifest these feelings. It is very important. Otherwise, if scientists, if they say that we feel we feel hatredness and we feel loving emotions, we feel all these kinds of whatever emotions and experiences we feel in this world. If this is because of hormone, then why don't you create such hormones and put it in the robot? You have already made humanoids. I think some of you might be knowing about humanoid. The material scientists they have created humanoid. The first humanoid which they created is known as Sophia. Sophia is a humanoid woman, female form of humanoid robot. She can talk like human beings and she looks like human being. They have everything. They have tried their best, and she can respond to your questions. She can talk just like but if you ask that female humanoid that do you feel love for somebody, she immediately replies, "No, no, I am a machine. Can you be killed?" No, she says, "No, no, we cannot be killed because we don't have any life. But we are a mechanical arrangement. So our electrical and mechanical arrangement it can be dismantled." Like this, she replies. So there's no question of experiencing the feelings. So if hormones are generating the feelings, then you know what kind of hormones are there within the body. Then you create all those kinds of hormones and put it into these humanoids and let them also experience love, and all kinds of emotions and feelings. Is it possible? No, not possible. They can't do it because these experiences and feelings, love, hatredness, and bitterness, all those feelings, these are manifested through hormones. That is true, but not generated from hormones. These are generated from consciousness, and consciousness is actually symptom or generated from soul. Uh, as much as just like the man who injects the seed within the womb of a woman, then woman within the womb the body is developed, and then she gives birth to a child, but actually she has not given birth to the child, she has only given birth to a body of the child, but actually the man has given birth to the child. Similarly, so consciousness, the presence of consciousness, presence of feelings within our body, that proves that there must be soul, because material elements cannot produce consciousness, because all the material elements, earth, water, fire, air, ether, these are all dull elements, no living symptoms. No living symptoms. So how can the combination, if all these material elements, earth, water, fire, air, ether, individually all these are dead material elements, how can the combination can create the life? Because there is no life at all. It's very simple fact to understand, but unfortunately those people who have no knowledge of Bhagavad Gita, they cannot understand this fact. They simply speculate and they think that maybe certain kind of combination can generate the living symptoms. If it is so, then you generate. You have all the facilities, all the material elements are available in material nature, and you have best of the laboratory, best of the technologies, and you create life then in your laboratory. Is it possible? No. Why are you not able to do it? From last more than 150 years, you have been saying that certain kind of combination of chemicals generate living symptoms, and they give this all these things. They say there's a unicellular uh, things, and they combine together. Then amino acid was formed, and then multiple amino acids they came together, and then there was life. So this is just theory, no practical proof. No, not at all. Amino acids have produced life. You just demonstrate in your laboratory. From last one more than 100 years, you have been saying like this. The one of the Srila Prabhupada disciple, he was a scientist in America, Dr. T.D. Singh. Dr. T.D. Singh. Later on, he became disciple of Srila Prabhupada, and he was known as His Holiness Bhakti Swarup Damodar Maharaj. So she had many conversations with Srila Prabhupada regarding this life comes from life, whether life can be created from matter or not. So he asked many questions, and Srila Prabhupada gave very wonderful answers. So that those conversations have been recorded in a book known as Life Comes from Life. You can purchase this book, very simple, say 70, 80 pages book, and you can have a nice idea regarding this. So Srila Prabhupada very nicely, with all logic, reasoning, and scriptural references, he proves that life cannot be produced from chemical combination. Life can only be produced from life. So once this disciple, Dr. T.D. Singh, so in his university when he was doing his PhD, so one Nobel literate, Nobel Prize winner scientist, he came and he was giving a big seminar. So in the seminar, he was explaining the same thing, that life comes from chemical, and he was giving all this theory that how these material elements they combine together, amino acids were formed, and then gradually there were living symptoms. So this disciple of Srila Prabhupada, he had already understood from Srila Prabhupada that life cannot be produced from chemicals. So he raised his hand at the end of the seminar and asked him. Oh, he opened in the open seminar hall. He challenged him that you are saying that life can be produced from chemicals. So if I give all the chemicals, can you produce life now? Now means, do you have uh, formula how to produce? That Nobel Prize winner scientist, such a great scientist, he frankly admitted that I can't do this. I can only theorize. I can only speak theory. We haven't done it practically right now. Till now, we could not do it practically. So if you haven't done it practically, so why are you teaching this theory? Then this is not a science. This is fiction. Uh, this Darwin theory and this theory, life comes from chemical. These are unproven theory. No practical has been done. So how can you accept how the science cannot accept such things? Science means it should be practically done. So, but he said in future we'll do. But what about what future? In 1970, this disciple of Srila Prabhupada, he challenged him, and today it's 2025, almost 50, more than 55 years have passed, and so much technological advancement have happened. But where is life coming from chemical? Not even a mosquito they have they were able to create. So that's not possible. So life is not generated from chemical. This is very clear. So consciousness. So this consciousness is the this proper explanation of the presence of the soul. So one can still understand the presence of the soul simply by the presence of consciousness. Sometimes we do not find the sun in the sky owing to clouds or for some other reason, but the light of the sun is always there, and we are convinced that that it is there for daytime. Another example is being given that sometimes because of cloud we can't see the sun, but because there is light, so we understand that sun is there, but it is hidden from our vision because of cloud. So similarly, so as soon as there is a little light in the sky early in the morning, we can understand that the sun is in the sky. Similarly, since there is some consciousness in all bodies, whether man or animal, we can understand the presence of the soul. So this also refutes the this bogus theory of those Christians who say that animals haven't got soul. Even before some time before, they even used to say that women they do not have soul, so we can treat them like anything. That was their philosophy. But later on, as the development happened, the people protested, so they changed the theory. They said, oh, okay, human beings, women and men, both of them have soul, but animals do not have soul, so we can kill those animals and eat them. So this is also nonsense theory. Animal also have consciousness. Animal also have feelings. If you go towards an animal, if you shout at an animal, it will immediately uh, express some kind of feelings, unhappiness. So how can you say that animals do not have consciousness or soul? The consciousness is there, living symptom is there. The soul must be there. That's why animal killing is not allowed. It's a punishment. It's punishable act. So, but just to fulfill their own sense gratificatory desire, they sometimes these people they propagate some kind of misconception theory. So, but whether man or animal, including even trees and plants, everyone has soul. This consciousness of the soul is, however, different from the consciousness of the supreme, because the supreme consciousness is all knowledge, past, present, and future. The consciousness of the individual soul is prone to be forgetful. When he is forgetful of his real nature, he obtains education and enlightenment from the superior lessons of Krishna. But Krishna is not like the forgetful soul. If so, Krishna's teaching Bhagavad Gita would be useless. So it is very understood that there is consciousness, there is soul, but soul is also of two kind. There is individual soul, minute individual soul, and there is supreme individual soul. So Krishna or super soul, the supreme Lord, is supreme soul whose consciousness is pervaded all over the creation. But the individual, minute individual living entity's consciousness, like ours consciousness, is only pervaded within our own body. That's all. So limited consciousness. We have got limited consciousness, and Supreme Lord has got unlimited consciousness. This is the difference. And because we have got limited consciousness, so we are prone to fall down in material nature, and we become affected with forgetfulness, just like the spark. When the spark leaves the connection with the big fire, so immediately the spark loses its fiery qualities and it is extinguished because of the influence of air or water. But as long as the spark is minute spark is connected with the fire, it retains its fiery quality. But the fire, big fire, because it's so big in size, there is no question of that air can blow it, air can extinguish it. But the air can extinguish the fiery quality of individual spark when it is not connected with the big fire. Similarly, the spirit soul, uh, which is like a spiritual spark of the big spiritual fire known as Supreme Lord. So when it is separated from the Supreme Lord, so it forgets its fiery spiritual qualities and it is entangled in this material world of birth and death. But the Supreme Lord, because it's a big fire, it's the Supreme Lord is having supremely unlimited consciousness. The Maya, air refers to material energy, Maya, cannot make Supreme Lord forgetful of his position, being the Supreme Lord. So Krishna never comes under the influence of Maya, but the living entities, because of minute, insignificant size, they are prone to get influenced by Maya. That's why if one wants to become always remain situated in a spiritual consciousness, then one has to always be connected with the supreme consciousness, supreme Lord. So there are two kinds of soul, namely the minute particle soul, Anu Atma. Anu means minute particle, and super soul, Vibhu Atma. Vibhu means great. So this is also confirmed in Katha Upanishad. In Katha Upanishad, this is mentioned. Anor aniyan mahato mahiyan atmasya jantu nihato guhayam tamakratuh pashyati vita shoko dhatu prasadan mahimanam atmana. Both the super soul, Paramatma, and the atomic soul, Jivatma, are situated on the same tree of the body within the same heart of the living being. Only one who has become free from all material desires as well as lamentations can, by the grace of the Supreme, can understand the glories of the soul. So these two kinds of Atmas are present within the same body, within the heart. One is super soul and one is soul, but only one who is free from all kinds of material contaminations, material desires, and as well as lamentation. She can understand this by the grace of the Supreme Soul who is present, who is also situated within the region of heart. So Krishna is the fountainhead of the super soul also. In everybody there is super soul, but that super soul is also expansion of Krishna. Krishna is also source of all the super soul, as it will be disclosed in the following chapters, especially in the 15th chapters. And Arjuna is the atomic soul, forgetful of his real nature. Therefore, he requires to be enlightened by Krishna or by his bona fide representative, his spiritual master. Okay, so time is done. We'll stop here. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Okay. Anyone is having any question? You can ask. Hare Krishna. The question is how to control feelings. So we do not require to control our feelings, and we can't control our feelings because feelings are generated from consciousness or soul. So, and we are a split soul. So how can you destroy your own self? Not possible. But rather we can change the feeling from material to spiritual. Because as long as we are misidentifying ourselves with this body, so we will have material feelings, material attachments. So that will give us trouble. But if we shift these feelings towards Supreme Lord Krishna, then that will give us spiritual bliss, and that is what is required. So shift your feelings instead of getting attached to any material object, material people. Uh, Rather, we should get attached to the Supreme Lord Krishna. Then those feelings will give us not only they will those feelings will liberate us from material bondage, but those feelings will give us a spiritual bliss as well. Uh, can we control attraction? We can't destroy or um, we can't remove attraction because attraction is already there. That is natural symptom of the soul. But we can dovetail it. We can shift it towards Krishna because originally all the attachment or attraction is meant for the Supreme Lord. That is our constitutional position. When we uh, give when we are attracted or attached to material things, that gives us this suffering. So we should rather shift our attachment towards Krishna. हाँ, आजकल जल्दी गुस्सा आ जाता है. Okay, use this gussa, क्रोध for Krishna dosi jana. Krodha Krishna dosi jana. We should express our anger towards uh, those who are against the principle of devotional service. In this way, we can use anger also in the service of Krishna. Okay, time is done. So we'll stop here. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna, Krishna.